everybody doing? Good. A little chilly, huh? Well, here in Old Blighty, we do a show, Keiser Report, not far from here. Myself and Stacy Herbert. A round of applause for Stacy Herbert. And of course, we're always trying to tell the truth. We want to tell you the truth. And of course, the truth is not always welcome. And we always have to fight to tell the truth. And we have to fight not only the fact that this media here in the UK is monopolized by just a few folks, like Rupert Murdoch and his buddies, but we also have to fight the regulators, like Ofcom. And Ofcom is not a friendly regulator. Ofcom is a corrupt regulator. Just like you have corrupt regulators in the banking sector, you have corrupt regulators in Ofcom. I'll give you a couple of examples of us trying to tell the truth where we get slammed by Murdoch's cronies over there in Ofcom. One example is we on the Keiser Report refer to the Help to Buy scheme here in the UK as a Ponzi scheme, which is what it is. It's a government subsidized Ponzi scheme that actually makes it harder for people to afford housing, not easier. And we said this on the show, and we got a big 6-page letter from Ofcom on behalf of George Osborne and said, would you please not refer to Mr. Osborne's policy as a Ponzi scheme? A week later, the Bank of England issued a report that said, had we at the Bank of England sat down to design a housing policy, we could not have written one worse than this, which is nothing more than a Ponzi scheme. So they couldn't come after us on that one either. It's just, we had the truth. We had the truth. Now there's another example, which what was the second example, Stacy? Oh yeah. So thank you, Stacy. So then on our show, Keiser Report, we said, you know, Osborne, his policies, they're designed by a crackhead and a drug user. And so we got a letter that said, would you please not refer to Mr. Osborne's policy as those designed by a crackhead? A week later, a fellow named Douglas McWilliams, who's an advisor to Osborne, was found in a crack den, snorting coke and crack. I have some of the pertinent details here. That's a good one. Yeah. Oh yeah. Osborne's aide crack shame. The top advisor to George Osborne has been caught in videotape smoking crack. Tory economic policy forecaster Douglas McWilliams took the illegal drug during a late night binge in a squalid London flat. The source said he's irregular. He's out of control. Now, the amazing thing is, in this country, they have a problem with economic growth because none of the jobs that are on offer in this country generate enough tax revenue to make the national debt go down. The national debt in this country is going up. Under Osborne, it's almost doubled. He's almost added £1 trillion of debt. Remember when he launched austerity, he said the purpose is to reduce the debt. Well, the debt's gone up. So this idea of debt reduction is completely wrong because the revenues from the taxes are not sufficient to reduce the debt. So therefore, to make the debt to GDP ratio look better, they have to boost the economy. And how did this government boost the economy last year? They've added prostitution and drug use. They've added prostitution and drug use to the economy to make the debt look smaller. The Office of National Statistics has estimated that each of the United Kingdom's 60,879 prostitutes took 25 clients a week at an average price of £67.16. First of all, is that an accurate guess? They also estimated that 38,000 heroin users equal sales of 754 million, or 37 pounds per gram of heroin. So this is the Office of National Statistics figuring out what prostitutes and heroin users contribute, so-called, to the economy. They include it into the economy, into the GDP, to make it look like there's less debt to GDP. So according to Cameron and Osborne, we'd all be better off if every single person here and in this country became a crack whore. But wait, that's Douglas McWilliams, and he's the advisor to Osborne. He's saying it's all working. Crack for everybody. Well, as you know, in an attempt to push out the bad with something that's good, we have been very active in developing our own economic solutions. And we have developed our own currency. So we developed our own currency called StartCoin. StartCoin is a cryptocurrency. And I brought some of these scratch cards with me. And on each one of these cards is a free 3 pounds. 3 pounds on each card for free. You take the scratch card, you go, you redeem it, and we're hoping that you put some of this free money I'm about to give everybody to use into projects like Russell Brand's True's Cafe, the True Era Cafe, and also on Hoxton Street there's a newsstand called Hoxton News, which was recently rebranded as the Trues, yes, which of course is Russell Brand's YouTube phenomenon. And that was all accomplished through crowdfunding on the StartJoin platform, which is fueled by this StartCoin, which is a cryptocurrency. So I'm going to pass these out when I'm done to folks. We've got $1 million to give away over the next few months. We're going to give away $50,000 in the next couple of weeks. And we want you, when you get this free money, to put more, put it to work in doing another rebranding of another news agent for Trues, or you could cash it out. It's up to you. We think we'd like you to keep it all in the economy, because according to Osborne and Cameron, they want you to be a crack whore with your pounds. I've got StartCoin to fuel the Russell Brand's revolution and a lot of other cool stuff. So I think I see people nodding. We want the revolution. We don't want to be crack whores. You didn't raise your kids to be crack whores. So I'm going to do that in a few minutes. So it's kind of chilly. I can do another 5 minutes of stuff if you want me to. Yeah. All right. I'm going to refer to my notes. I'll do some more from my stand-up rage show. So, did you know that since 2007, the global debt in the world is up 57 trillion? So the global debt is now 199 trillion. That's up from, it's now 286% of the global GDP in debt. Did you know that Britain pays 1 billion pounds a week to service that debt? That's here in Britain. 1.4 trillion pounds. It's $1 billion a week just to service the debt. Again, the debt is exploding. None of the policies that this government have come up to it are doing anything to solve the debt crisis. Now, there are some heroes in the struggle against banksters. I want to draw your attention to this gentleman. This is a great headline. A Barclays customer is called "That's the Wrong Kind of Deposit." A Barclays bank customer poos all over the floor. A middle-aged man, described as well-to-do, walked into a Barclays branch and started leaving non-monetary deposits on the floor. One eyewitness said the man looked calm but angry as he made his mess. That's the kind of, commitment we need. Imagine if every Barclays branch in the country So everyone went on to sing a flash mob of pooers. Fantastic. Not to be outdone, here in Milton Keynes, I have to mention this just because I find it so remarkable. A theater was evacuated after a drunk woman shit and vomited at a 50 Shades of Grey premiere. I don't know why. She lost control of everything, including all of her bodily fluids. Is anyone from Milton Keynes? All right, sounds like a fun town. Now, there's a double standard in this country. Those who are caught doing bad bankster stuff seem to be getting, a slap on the wrist. They get fined. Those fines are usually paid for through borrowed money, and they borrow money from the bank at 0% interest rate, and they never have to pay it back. So it's not really a detriment at all. It's just an accounting figure. It's not a deterrent. It's not a deterrent at all. Here's a great example of this. A judge takes pity on, quote, embarrassed RBS bankers who committed £3 million of fraud. So 2 RBS bankers have walked away from a £3 million fraud without jail, as Judge Rebecca Muriel Poulet, QC, believes they have already suffered, as they were embarrassed by the incident. They were embarrassed by stealing £3 million. So the judge didn't give them any kind of a penalty. I think that judge should find her home filled with poo. I think. Now, of course, we do the Keiser report here in the City of London because the City of London, in many ways, is the epicenter of global fraud. According to Bill Black, who's a very famous former regulator in the UK, calls the City of London is the most criminogenic environment in the world for financial fraud, which is why so many UK banks and units of foreign banks located in the city have caused the major scandals in the UK and globally. It's not an accident that the AIG scandal, the Lehman scandal, the Madoff scandal, the London whale scandal, all the major bank scandals in the world come through the City of London, because the City of London is the easiest place in the world to commit financial fraud. Banks all over the world outsource their financial fraud to the City of London. Just becomes like the global clearing house for fraud. And why is that? Well, there's one very interesting rule here in the banking sector, which is called the infinite rehypothecation rule. Usually in other countries, you can't use a security like a stock as collateral to make a loan greater than like 140% of the value of that stock. Did you know that here in the UK you can make a loan an infinite number of times against that security? I can sell the same bond not once, twice, 20 or 100 times, but 1,000 times. I have a government bond, a gilt, worth 1,000p on the dollar. I can sell that an unlimited number of times. There's no limit to it. I can sell it as many times as I want to. And that is basically the basis for most financial fraud that could be eradicated in this country by just eliminating that one clause within the way the regulations work. If you got rid of that one piece of legislation, most of the financial fraud would disappear overnight. This includes the LIBOR rigging, Forex rigging, energy market rigging, all kinds of precious metal price rigging. It all has to do with this one piece. I will leave you with one basic explanation with how the system works and why it needs to kind of change. Is that the way the banking system works today is that if you are a friend of the bank will write you £1 million check, which they just give you £1 million, and that £1 million is carried on the bank's books as a loan to themselves for 0% interest. If you're not a friend of the bank, then they'll charge you 5%, 6%, 8%. If it's such credit part, 16%. A Wonga loan, 2,000%, 3,000% annualized rate of return. And that's essentially why you end up with this incredible spread between the top and the bottom, the top 1/10 of 1% and everybody else. Because when you can get a check from the bank for free for £1 million in cash with no interest attached to it, you can go out and buy a Renoir, a Picasso, a flat in London, which drives the prices higher, which then you can use as collateral to buy more stuff. Meanwhile, if you're not somebody who can borrow, who's just gifted £1 million check for free from the bank at 0% interest, you pay a lot more money in interest. And it's the interest costs that are keeping the poor people poor, because they're constantly have to go to the predatory lender, and they're constantly being hit with exonerous, usurious rates of interest. So simply by rebalancing that simple, what I call the interest rate apartheid, you can rebalance the economy and get rid of that incredible spread between the top and the bottom. But unfortunately, you're not going to see that happen right now, because the Bank of England, which is the warehouse for all these bad bank loans, is keeping interest rates at 0% so that they don't have to pay that off either. And they say that there's deflation and that they have to keep rates near zero. But how many people here are finding it at the end of this last year and the first part of this year that prices for them, their paychecks are going further every week? Raise your hand. Your paychecks are going further every week. Raise your hand. Your paycheck, you're getting more for your paycheck every week. I know you're out there. Just raise your hand. Don't be shy. Oh, you mean that? I don't see a single hand. So what does Cameron mean, or Mark Carney mean, when he said there's the risk to this economy is deflation? There's not a single person here who's experiencing deflation. It's all crock of nonsense. The most articulate thing anyone could say would be the woman who shit in the bank. That's about it. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say goodbye. But I'm going to just randomly hand these out. These are just, it's basically free money. This is start coin money. This is the people's quantitative easing. So we're trying to rebuild an economy based on our own currency. Squeeze out the pound, which is the devil's currency. It's the spawn of Satan. The Bank of England is a horrible institution. And with that, we're trying to rebuild a whole new economy and go to the True Era Cafe up there in Hoxton, as well as the Hoxton News on Hoxton Street, who's also been totally rebranded as the Trues, which we're happy to say we help fund through the crowdfunding platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Max. And Max has actually revealed with his wisdom and knowledge why the system of how people get poor in this country. But the reason why that's not common knowledge is because of the media system. The 5 billionaires, extremist right-wing billionaires, are the ones who are actually not informing people. So thank you, Max. And next up we have Jocelyn Chaplin, and her married band of men and women coming up here.
Who wants a free card? Free card.
Please. Non-stage. Author of Steep Equality, and we'll hand over to them. So please gather around. Thank you very much.